Hey everybody, I am Erica Carlson. I'm a real estate agent here in the Rockford area, and I am sharing a weekly market update, particularly for the Wright County area. And I'm going to flip over and share my screen. Hopefully this time it will work. So thank you for sticking with me. Looks like this time I'm not frozen, so that's what's important. So the data that I'm sharing this week is not significantly different from the last 2 weeks. You'll notice, and I just do I just literally do this week by week. So this week you can see, if you look in the bold section, we've got 389 properties for sale. I do not count vacant lot or commercial. We're just looking at residential properties, and that's just up a teeny tiny bit from last week, nothing to get too excited about. And it's interesting to see that the TNAS number has dropped down to 20. Again, not a huge change by any means. That acronym is for temporarily not available for showing. So these are properties that are for sale, but for one reason or the other, the seller is not allowing any showing. So the fact that that number is coming down is great. I think a lot of people were holding off on selling until they got through the holidays, which I completely understand. Pending properties went up to 214. So I think that's where we could have seen some more properties, but those out there shopping are picking those up. And then shifting over to a 30-day period rather than weekly, you can see 90 houses closed, which is again down a little bit from the last couple weeks. This sounds like interesting data, but it's not, because you have to remember that the ones that closed, they went under contract a while ago. Most of those went under contract 30 days, 60 days ago, which, even puts us around not that far from the holidays. So of course there weren't as many buyers out at that time. And so it's no surprise to me that we're seeing closings down and pendings up. We just had a lot more people come out and shop for houses after the new year. So really interesting data for me is looking at the 250 to 500K range. Again, I'm looking at the entire county, nothing in particular. And so these are just general numbers to give you an idea. If you are selling a house right now, you should expect about 4 showings per week. That is an average number, so you could definitely have more or less than that depending on the property. But that is just the average overall. So, of course, someone's dragging us down or pushing us up depending on that. To give you an idea of comparison, I also look at Twin Cities metro data, and it's a little bit slower in Wright County, which is exactly what I would predict just based on population size. So if you were selling a house in the Twin Cities metro, you would expect to have more like 5 showings per week, or even maybe 6, depending on the property. Again, days on market did go up a little bit this week. Again, not notable from last week, but then the week before. So it's kind of something we need to continue to watch to see why it's taking longer for houses to sell on average. So again, if you were selling a house, you would just tell yourself a month and a half, it's going to take at about 4 showings a week. That I'm kind of on par. If you're doing much less than that, then maybe, again, you have to price adjust or do some conditional changes. I did not update the graph this week. It did change a little bit from where I get it from, which is actually 2.1 versus 2, which is interesting because I think the new data came in from the last month. So it's actually more towards the buyers than the sellers market. That's what absorption rate is. So again, if you haven't been watching these week to week, absorption rate means if every house that was on the market today in Wright County and not a single house came on after that point, in 2 months, we would be out of inventory completely. So it is a seller's market, even though last year, of course, was a more severe seller's market. There was even less to choose from, or like the amount of people that were out there shopping, I should say. So to conclude, I know that the data that you really want is your very local neighborhood data. You want to know what your neighbor who just put their house on the market is selling for. You want to know how many days it's going to take them to sell that property. The market report will give you that. And the only way I can give you that, of course, is if you reach out to me. And the way you'll do that is you'll click on the link, and there's 2 ways to approach it. If you really want your neighborhood, you are going to have to go into the form, share a little bit of information, like how often do you want the market report and what neighborhood am I sending it to? Because obviously I can't read your mind. You're going to have to share something with me so I can get this information to you. If you are just curious and you just want a really broad view, I do have it broken down by some of the cities closest to me, like Delano, Buffalo. I think I did St. Michael and Rockford. If you wanted a different city, again, you'd have to reach out to me because I wouldn't know how to do that unless we have some communication. I would love to hear from you, of course, if you have any buying or selling needs in the area, whether it's the metro or the Wright County area. I'd love to hear from you. I'm happy to answer any, questions you have about residential real estate. There's my information below. Thank you so much for making it to the end. I appreciate your comments and likes and shares as always. Have a great week.